last night, it was the rematch. Durant versus Westbrook 2. And it was the same outcome. Kevin Durant scored 40 points on 13 of 16 shooting, including 10 for 10 on contested shots. He also brought it on the defensive end. KD has now scored 79 points in his 2 games against his former squad. But what about his relationship with his former teammate, Russell Westbrook? Both were asked about it after the game.
Are you and KD on speaking terms?
No.
You guys had a little exchange in the third quarter.
What exchange?
You and KD said something to each other.
I may see closer to the game. He may didn't see clearly.
You've avoided making it about you versus Russell Westbrook. Yet in the third quarter, you two guys took center stage. What set that off?
I don't even remember. I remember our team had a great third quarter. We moved the ball. We got stops. That's all that matters.
All right, so KD's owned this matchup, but Stephen A., will this relationship ever heal between KD and Westbrook?
I think it has. Well, first of all, time heals everything, but I think that for the immediate future, I think the best way to answer that question is by simply saying this. All-Star Weekend will tell us a lot. It's pretty difficult to sit up there and mend fences when the hostility stems from the way Kevin Durant left, how he texted Russell Westbrook, instead of reaching out to him, talking to him, going to see him or whatever the case may be, and then ultimately them being on the court going up against one another. And in the 2 meetings that the Warriors have played against the OKC Thunder at the Oracle, I might add, that hasn't done much to sort of smooth things over if you're Russell Westbrook. You lost both games, you got blown out both games, and on top of it all, you're shooting 31% from the field, while Kevin Durant is shooting 70% from the field in the 2 games they played against one another, while averaging 39.5 points, 39 and 40. This dude dropped 40 points on just 16 shots last night. I mean, we've been talking about James Harden, Russell Westbrook, MVP. Perhaps we need to elevate Kevin Durant to that conversation just based on efficiency alone and how he performs when he goes up against elite talent. But in the end, I say All-Star Weekend will tell us, because All-Star Weekend, yes, All-Star Weekend, you're playing on the same team because you're both in the same conference. And as all-stars, not competing against one another, but joining forces to compete against somebody else, not to mention it being a festive, very jovial and fun environment, I think that's going to help. I think you got other all-stars that you'll be around who all get along with one another, Max, who know one another well, and will probably pull you guys together and say, come on, fellas, squash this, that, and the third. Maybe that happens. But if it doesn't happen then, it won't happen anytime in the foreseeable future, in my estimation.
Given how much you hear around the league, I mean, even during commercial breaks, during the show, you're getting texts from all over the league all the time. I defer to you about stuff like this because you have, your
inside info.
Yeah, you know which way the wind is blowing with that stuff. However, you're asking me my opinion if they would get along All-Star Weekend. No, I don't think so, because they're still at the phase in their career where they're trying to deny each other what each wants the most, which is a championship. Eventually, the question is, you say time heals all wounds, and we just saw 30 for 30, like Shaq and Penny are sitting there, kissing and making up, at least from afar. You assume that will happen with these 2 guys, too, except that. Who's the aggrieved party here? The aggrieved party is Russell Westbrook. It was KD. However, maybe Russell Westbrook was difficult for KD to play with because his personality is such that it becomes about hero ball, who takes the last shot. And KD just wanted to go to a place like Golden State where whoever takes the last shot, you know who takes it? The open man.
Yep.
That's Draymond, Clay, Steph, KD. It's not about hero ball at the end. So I get that from KD's point of view, but the way he left, and you've brought this up oftentimes, we were just on SportsCenter talking about this, Westbrook has to find out about it in a text when they're supposedly close. Westbrook is the aggrieved party. KD is the one who has the moral low ground here. Then the question becomes, who eventually will feel magnanimous? And the answer is the guy who wins championships. That's also going to be KD. So KD is going to feel magnanimous towards Westbrook eventually, but it's not as though Westbrook did him wrong. He did Westbrook wrong. I think the hard feelings are going to remain for Russell Westbrook, just given the dynamics of the relationship, the way it ended, at least for now, the way they left it off, and who's more likely to have success on a better team going forward.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I think that the key, when you talk about the aggrieved party being Russell Westbrook, you're absolutely right. Where we need to really delve into it is to dissect why he's so aggrieved. It would have been nice for Kevin Durant to handle his departure better. But if you didn't, you didn't, and you can get over that. What's hard to get over is that because of the way he left and because of the absence of communication, that put the onus on Russell Westbrook in the eyes of many to answer questions that Kevin Durant should have had to answer. Kevin Durant might have had his press conferences and he might have said all the right things or whatever, but you literally left Russell Westbrook hanging because you gave the impression, oh, I'm leaving because of this guy. It's one thing to give the impression, I don't think I can win a championship with that guy. That's bad enough. But at least you're able to look at it strictly from a basketball perspective. But at least you're able to look at it strictly from a basketball perspective and leave it at that. The problem with it is that there was questions. Well, maybe their relationship wasn't what it was supposed to be. And maybe Russell Westbrook was selfish. And maybe Russell Westbrook wanted to be the alpha and he wanted to be the dude and he was jealous of Kevin Durant and all of this other stuff. You left Russell Westbrook having to answer those questions. Now, the dude is an ultra competitor. He's as ruthless a competitor as they come. And sometimes he can be acerbic and a bit truculent with the media and others. So that's him naturally. But now you made him even more irritable because of what kind of position you've put him in. That's what can't be escaped from a guy who has personified class for most of his career in Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, you might see him occasionally go off about the media, whatever. But the Kevin Durant with the incidences that we've seen over the past couple of years, that by and large was not the dude that all of us knew coming out of Texas, playing in the NBA for the first 7 so years of his career. Class personified. He's still classy, still a great basketball ambassador and all of that stuff. But some of the slip-ups that he's made over the last couple of years, whether it's to me, it's to other media members, he never did that before. And this time, it extended to a guy he called his little brother. Can't escape that.
One of the real problems in that relationship has always been, and this goes for even when LeBron went to Miami, the alpha should be the best player. You know why Jordan and Pippen worked so well? Was there ever any question as to who was the alpha on that team or who was the best player? Jordan's the alpha, he's the best player. Same thing on the Celtics. Larry Bird's the alpha, he was the best player. As Kareem declined, Magic Johnson's the alpha and the best player. That works really well. Kobe and Shaq, whoever you think was the best or more dominant player there, and their adherents on both sides, think the slight majority feel Shaq because he was the big man, and Shaq was an alpha, but so was Kobe. They were both alphas, so they bumped heads, but ultimately they could win. Here you have the better player is Durant because he's a foot taller, but he doesn't have the same alpha personality as Westbrook. And I think when you, and they're close enough in terms of how good they are that becomes a problem. And I think more than anything, that's what underlies the issue here, the friction, the reason it wasn't going to work.
The thing that I find sad about it all is that the Oklahoma City Thunder are just not good enough to compete with Golden State. It would have been really nice if Kevin Durant made that move and he went to a team the team that he departed from wasn't just good, but was still in a position to be elite enough where you can have that challenge. It just seems so unfair to Russell Westbrook because I'm watching him last night. Yes, he's an alpha dog. Even though he had 10 turnovers, still had his triple-double, but he had 10 turnovers, and he seems to have a lot of turnovers when he goes against some of the elite teams who know how to defend him, trap him, double or triple team him, et cetera, et cetera. But what really gets to me is that I see Russell Westbrook on the level I see all of those guys at Golden State on. He's ready to go at them. There is no one, including Victor Oladipo, who I like and who can play. There is no one else that he has on his squad that can help him go to war with Kevin Durant and those guys. And as a result, Kevin Durant and those guys, I'm not saying bad bullies, but they look like the big bullies on the block.
That's a really good point.
And there's no help.
Because
there's no help.
At the end of last year's conference finals, and we were there, I saw you there, I was there, I paid my way in because, I'm going to see these conference finals. Right. It was a great Game 7. And you look at it from Westbrook's point of view. Dude, we're just about as good as them. We should have beaten them, but we both came up small. We'll have the rematch next year.
Right.
We're going to get them. And then he turns and leaves and joins them. So now you're totally outgunned, totally outclassed, stuck with the fact that you choked in the previous season and your boy took the easy way out and left you hanging.
And that's why I said to you, and I kept saying to you, That's exactly why I had the problem with the move to Golden State. You just articulated it.
I'm not Westbrook, though. If I'm Westbrook, I got a problem. I'm not Westbrook.
Nowhere else do I have an issue with where Kevin Durant could have gone. But based on what you described, how close they were, the mentality, we'll get them. And by the way, they went into the locker room, and Kevin Durant was one of the people that sat up there and said, we'll get him. We'll get him.
He met the Thunder.
And then a month later, you go and join
right, let's give props to KD for falling last night.
We'll get the Cavs.
Kevin Durant, you had an incredible game.
But again, he's so Molly.
I know, but
he's so great.
I get it.
It's nothing new.
And they've designed an offense where pick your poison.
He's so great.
He should still be recognized for continued greatness. Joined now on SportsCenter by Draymond Green. And Draymond, you got those headphones on. That has my logo on. This is the first time I've seen that. That's kind of nice. I kind of like those. Are they comfy?
Yeah, they are comfortable, man. You're big time. You got your own headphones.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be a part of the show. Thanks for having me.
I couldn't make that little commercial with Levy and Butchie Grass, so I'm just happy to have you here with me tonight. The victory, and I just said it, you guys make it feel routine. I mean, it's 36-6 again, and Steve talked about this recently, about trying to appreciate it. Are you all numb to the success that you guys have made feel so ordinary?
You're not numb to it. Obviously, there can be times where it kind of goes underappreciated by us, and you just... Sometimes you can take winning for granted, but that's one thing that we always try to talk about is not taking winning for granted. Giving a great effort each and every night.
Right.
And sometimes it's usually when the wins don't happen the way you want them to happen. You kind of take it for granted. And we just talk about, man, appreciate that. A win is a win in the NBA.
Now, this is not meant to be disrespectful to anyone you play, but I said earlier in the show that when you play Cleveland, when you play OKC, when you play Houston, as you do on Friday, I think it's reasonable to understand that for you guys, it is a big deal that's going to have every bit of your focus and energy, but you couldn't do that for 82 games. Is that a fair way to describe it?
I think that's definitely a fair way to decide. And like you said, there's no disrespect to anyone else, but at the end of the day, there is 82 games, and there are games that you're going to get up for more than others. And, I mean, that's just the nature of basketball, but that doesn't just happen here in the NBA. It happens when you're in elementary and you only got 12 games. It happens when you're in middle school, when you're in high school, and definitely in college. So I think that's just the nature of the sport that we're in.
I think it happens in life. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's days you come in here, you try to do the best show you can, but not every show is going to be as good as a show that you know is a big deal. And obviously for tonight, for Kevin, it's a big deal. And this, I'm not worried about any beef between anybody, but I mean, he goes off tonight for 40. Do you guys get a sense of what the game means to him without him saying anything?
Absolutely. He doesn't have to say much. We know what this game means for him. We know as a competitor, you want to beat your own team. You want to beat the guys you play with. Even with all the scrutiny that he's taken with leaving OKC, definitely don't want to lose to him, and you got to hear all those things again. So, we understand what it means for him. And we definitely don't want to let him down as his teammates. You continue to lead this squad in assists, but I wonder, are you more proud of what you do on the defensive end, your versatility there? What do you feel most proud of that you contribute on a nightly basis? Always the defensive end. I think, it takes defense to win games, to win championships. So I enjoy playing that end of the floor, trying to stop the other team. I always say, man, anybody can go score a basket, but it takes a lot of heart and will, determination to go play on the defensive end, so I take pride in that. Last thing, I had a chance to visit with Steve Kerr yesterday here on the show, and obviously we were curious about how everything would fit together. You add a superstar, but you already had a bunch of them, and so now this is the first game of the second half, your 42nd game. Where do you all feel like your team is as you evolve into whatever you're going to be? I think we're getting better each and every night, and that's the most important thing for us. It's not really about the record. It's about getting better each and every time we step on this floor. And I think we've been doing that as of late. We got to continue to do that. If we want to, reach the end goal, which is try to win a championship, you got to get better every time you step on this floor and embrace the process leading up to it. I know you got places to go and people to see. I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. It's good to visit again. Stay healthy until next time, okay? All right, thanks for having me. You got it.